Hi there, I'm Peter with Easy Access English, and today I'm going to talk to you about phrasal verbs. Phrasal verbs are an essential part of the English language and can be quite difficult for non-native speakers to learn. A phrasal verb is a combination of a verb and a particle, either an adverb or a preposition, that together create a new meaning. The history of phrasal verbs in the English language dates back to the Middle Ages, when the language was evolving from Old English to Middle English. At that time, the language was filled with compound verbs, so verbs made up of two words put together into one word. And many of these compound verbs evolved into phrasal verbs over time. So phrasal verbs have been around for hundreds of years and are a combination of a verb and a particle. These combinations can be difficult because the meaning of phrasal verbs are often different from the meaning of the individual words, which makes them difficult to understand and use correctly. Phrasal verbs can also be confusing because they often have multiple meanings, and this meaning can change depending on the context. So let's have a look at an example to show you what I mean about how they can be quite complex to understand. For example, the phrasal verb bring up is a combination of the verb to bring and the preposition up. However, the meaning bring up is entirely different from the meaning of to bring. Bring up means to raise a child or to start a topic of conversation. Phrasal verbs are important in the English language because they are used frequently in everyday conversations, and they convey specific meanings that cannot be expressed by using a single verb. For non-native speakers, learning phrasal verbs is crucial because it can help them communicate more effectively in English. It's not just about learning the meaning of individual words, but also understanding how the words work together to create new meaning. So, although phrasal verbs are tricky, understanding phrasal verbs is essential for more effective communication in English. They can help non-native speakers sound fluent and natural. And they are also commonly used in idiomatic expressions, which can be challenging to understand without knowledge of phrasal verbs. So one way to learn phrasal verbs is to memorize them in context. Try to read and listen to as much English as possible and pay attention to the phrasal verbs that are used. It is also essential to learn common phrasal verbs first, as they are used more frequently in conversation and writing. Again, one of the best ways to learn phrasal verbs is by reading and listening to authentic English material, such as different books and novels in English, articles, news articles, movies and series. It's also helpful to make a list of common phrasal verbs and their meanings and to practice using them in context.